Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anything Fits Talk Show. Today, we have a very, very special guest all the way from the Dominican Republic. Let me just, before I introduce my co-host and our guest, slightly just talk about this wonderful person. Tony Parra is the best strength coach in the Dominican Republic, and without a doubt, he is part of the elite of the best strength coaches on the planet. He has trained world champions in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, bronze medalist in the Youth Olympics, Pan American champions in karate, and the Dominican national volleyball team, which placed fifth in the London Olympics, and much more. Please welcome our friend Simon as well as Tony Parra. Tony, how are you today?
Hey George, hey Simon, how you doing?
Good,
Good,
good. We've been
good.
having
You?
a few technical issues, and hopefully, this is going
It's
to be
okay.
the last one at this point. So great to have you on the show, Tony. We hear so much about you. People rage about Tony Parra, and it's great to have you on the show. So let me just get straight to the meat. Um, Please give us a little summary of your education and strength coach, including your biggest influencers for your successful career.
Yeah. So for me, I started over 20 years ago with a scholarship I received for science applied to sports, a course that I did in Barcelona. Um, that scholarship was given to me by the IOC, so the International Olympic Committee. Then I had another course in Hungary as well,
Okay.
specifically for high level athletes. I had some courses and worked closely with a lot of different coaches from my sport, which is judo internationally. But I think my biggest influence in that the person that really made the change that actually turned me and put me in the correct path, becoming what I am today, was Charles Paul Aquinas. I know
Right.
you all of you knew him
Would
very
you would
close.
would you agree he left us too early?
Oh, for sure. Like, oh my God, like you wouldn't know. I think even though we have the duty and the responsibility to keep on and to keep to spread his knowledge, I
Right.
think Charles really left with a lot of things yet to say,
Right.
and things to learn, things to teach. And I think I would love to see him now with this pandemic and all this, how he would have reacted to that
We,
situation.
I guess we all wonder how he would have been reacting. The people that know
Yeah.
him would probably think he would have tantrums on a daily basis. But
Oh, for sure.
yeah, but
For sure.
it,
Yes.
it is what it is. Now, I know we're going to be talking about a show that's very specific to many, many questions. And I think Simon has a lot of them in lined up for you. So, you know what, Simon, I'll let you go ahead and ask him the questions.
Perfect. So, Tony, from the start, how do you screen your clients to identify weakness? As we know, training for sports performance turns around fixing those.
Yeah. I always say that the main purpose of the strength coach is avoiding injuries on your athletes. I think that's the first thing you need to do. I always say that that's your first job. If you do that, you already winning the battle. Okay.
Yeah,
And then you improve performance. So for me, uh, the way I screen my athletes is I try to um, have as much information in the shortest amount of time. And for that, I think like the clat test and the overhead squat test are great tools because it gives me a lot of info. Like we've discussed before, some athletes only have 6, 8, maybe 12 weeks at most in a year to get better. So you don't want to go through a whole array of tests that last 2 days, questionnaires and stuff that you just, I think, not, I won't say you're wasting time, but there's better ways to do that. And that is one of the things that Charles taught us was like get the most amount of info as fast as you can.
Right.
exactly. Because your client's gonna move anyway. So if you do the right screen at first, you'll see them moving, and you can correct them as far as you go.
Yes, yes, correct. Yes.
So
I understand that one of the topics that you make more emphasis on is the structuring of the proper training program. Can you please give us some insight on the main parameters that you keep in mind when designing a training program? I mean, a lot of people just, for say in this industry, just pick the closest program there is in their file and give that to their either athletes or their clients. But how do you go about that?
For me, the biggest problem that most coaches have, they don't have a structure.
Right.
And even though when you say, well, structure is a periodization program, like how do I organize my program? And not only that, because I see people that when they go over periodizing, just they stay on this is a general preparation phase or this is a specific preparation phase. For me, structure is what do you, and it goes to the fact of what exercise do you need to improve at X moment in time. Let's say before your competition, what's the movement that you want to improve at that moment? And when you choose that exercise, when you say, well, let's say front squat is the best exercise that I need at this moment that needs to improve. So what are you going to do to get there? What other exercises do you want to do to get there first?
Mm-hmm.
So no, it's not only about is it accumulation or intensification or linear, just trying some type of magical periodization program. It's just like, what do you really need to improve on, and how are you going to get there? So that's what I mean. Like if you want strength, if you want power, how do you structure that in time? Everything is connected.
Right.
Everything is connected. So when I see some programs, is the GPP doesn't match the SPP or the general preparation phase with the specific. And one thing that I learned is both of them is the same process. It's not separated. You cannot separate one from the other. You need to put them together, and then need to mesh smoothly. And for me, it's a structure. Structure even gives you a quantification in itself. It's easy.
How do you assess people like any sports, first, any professional sports? They have their in season, and then comes the off season. Obviously, during the in season, they've gathered a lot of injuries and everything. So how do you start them off? I mean, right away on off season. I mean, do you go through, I don't know, a German volumizing program, or do you go on rehabbing? How do you address that?
Well, actually, like always, it depends. But most of the time, you have to go through accumulation program and fixing the injuries. No, sometimes not the injuries, but the imbalances. Mm-hmm. So you make the screen. You make the screens, the tests, and then you go, okay, you're let's say overcompensating, or you're weak here or tight there, and you try to get there. For me, the off season, the off season is just to get them a little bit more leaner, get in better shape, fixing those imbalances. If there's any super compensation or even some tightness, so you get into more of a soft tissue therapy, just to get them all things more mobile. Because you need to put the base on where you're going to build next phase on it. You know, so if you can't move correctly, I cannot expect you to go as heavy as you might be capable of, or as fast. So
makes sense.
Those are the steps that I take.
True.
All right. Concerning the fact that you work with intensification, accumulation of all different phase, what are your favorite rep schemes, and how do you use them through them?
Yeah, I like I like many, but I'm gonna say two, which is like weight loading and cluster training. And here's why I like both. Both of them tend to allow you to work at higher intensities with a higher volume. And here's why. When you say when you do clusters, you get an intra-set rest in between reps. It can be 1, 2, 3, depends. It doesn't matter. And that little rest will allow you to go far more volume with a higher intensity. The weight training, I like it because if you use it correctly, it will elicit some neurological adaptation that will like um, um, I'm
You could say it in Spanish. It'll come out. It'll get
no,
translated.
it's okay. Post-tetanic facilitation.
Exactly.
Okay, so when you do it correctly, you'll be able to do more reps with higher weights. So at the end of the day, it's just like the one of the ways that naturally you can increase the intensity and the volume at the same time.
Okay.
From starting from this, how do they affect the structure of your microcycles?
Okay, actually, I don't, and this is a child's quote. You cannot ride two horses with one ass. So what I try to do is, if I'm going to do weight loading, I'm going to do weight loading for squats, for deadlift, for whatever thing I'm doing, whatever my split, whatever I'm trying to achieve. Either it's a hypertrophy, it's either power or strength, it doesn't matter. And why I do that is because you can only be so strong, you can only be so powerful. Uh, your athletes will tend to have a limited amount of energy.
Mhm.
And I think if you diverge too much, the adaptations to the systems, it will falter a little bit. You won't give them enough. You won't give them enough a stimulus to adapt to that one to a specific stimulus they have. So I try not to spread myself thin.
Yeah.
So, would you say that you want to stay as far as possible as what we call muscle confusion?
Uh, yes,
Mm.
it's a term that I don't like, but yes.
Yeah, it's always it's always terms in our industry that sometimes it's
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, okay. So here's the thing. There's because you have like the West Side barbell method, which is conjugate, that
exactly.
do different types of things. But if you read it, if you get to know the real, which I'm not an expert on it, but if you get to really get to know the system, there's a method for you to have it.
Right.
Yeah,
There's a way for you to do that,
Hmm.
and it is very important for people to know it to apply correctly. Because at the end of the day, it's not. I think it's not the knowledge that hurts people; it's how they apply it.
Right.
yeah,
Mm.
totally.
Absolutely. It's also known that you're also very big on periodization, and also that you teach that. What are the main periodization models that you use with any athletes and why?
Okay, so I have a theory. Oh, I have a practice to call it, not theory, but I use a lot, of course, accumulation intensification. But I also like to use the block periodization model, and it will depend on sports. Like let's say, like right now, like I'm a judo player for 40 years almost, and I have a lot of judo athletes, and those guys at this time they tend to compete a lot.
Right.
They tend to compete quite often.
Mm.
Not like many years before, which you had like maybe two competitions or two main competitions a
Yeah.
year.
Nowadays, it's almost every weekend.
Yeah, it's almost every weekend. And the thing is that for you to qualify to the Olympics, like today, like this moment, you had to go through all those competitions that you had to perform.
That's right.
And specifically if you're not a top athlete, if you're a talented athlete at top of
Mm.
the world, maybe you can compete training. You can put the competition through the training. Like you don't have to even
Yeah.
deload; they'll do their job. But when your athletes are not as call it talented or gifted,
Yeah.
then you have to do deload. Then you have to do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So that's why I like blocks on that moment. I like to do the undulating method for uh, I like it to use to people that need to put on some mass or retain some mass during the moment that they need to either gain strength or power. So I try to do that method as well. It will depend a lot on the sport as well, because there are sports that I find that will detriment your strength,
Right.
specifically in season. And so I try to do that just to get them 1 or 2 weeks of high intensity so they can maintain some strength throughout the competition.
So coming from those information that you just gave us, how do you create macrocycles? I know the big answer is it depends. But when we go in the details, take any specific example that you think of just to explain to us your thinking behind it.
Okay, so first thing, training age. How old is the athlete doing correct strength training?
Right.
Not some fuck, whatever. Okay, so if he has a lot of years training correctly, then my GPP will be much shorter, and my general preparation will be much shorter than my SPP. That's one. But what I tend to do is, depending on the sport, I would try not. Okay, so let's example judo. So judo, what I try to do is my first phase would be of strength. My second phase would be power, and my third phase would be, I call it maximal strength endurance or power endurance, depending on what competition he's doing.
Right, because you choose, obviously they choose during the year the competitions they want to perform better at in preparation to that so-called goal. Right.
Yeah. So let's say you start in January, you have a competition 3 months ahead. So maybe in that first competition, I go maximum strength, power, let's say power, and maximum strength endurance. Okay, or let's call it special endurance. Yep. Okay, so after that competition, the next, let's call it macro cycles or mesocycle, how you would want it. Then I would go maximum strength again, power again, and then instead of maximum strength endurance, I would go power endurance. Right. Because so I would have more of a power-based program or design the second phase than the first phase, because the first phase is like you getting them stronger, you getting them balanced. Yeah. And this is only for the high-level athletes. For the low-level athletes or starting athletes, it's another ballgame.
Yeah, you don't want to get them started.
You don't get that. You get at best hypertrophy, functional hypertrophy, and maybe some strength, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What we used to do is when we talk about periodization, like you mentioned, right from the right end, erase from the left. It always depends.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I when I talked about structure is I always start like not only what type of strength do I have to be at the closer to the competition, is which lifts I need to be doing at this moment. Mm-hmm. What do I have to do there? So let's say I want to be doing before competition snatch, grip, deadlift, or power cleans. So I try to go back and periodize my whole training, not only in strength qualities, but in exercises. What are the exercises that are going to get me there?
Right.
Because what I see is people do all the periodization with GPP, SPP, and squat. But why do you do this squat here or that squat there?
Yeah.
You know, like if you ask me with let's call it, let's say usually I like to end my with staying with the same judo parameter. I like to have my athlete do low bar squats at the end of their first big phase, right? So my first squat will be front squat. Why? Because it's more about mobility. It allows them to get their lower ankles, everything. I think front squat is a great parameter to see how athletic or how balanced you are.
Would you say it's a complex movement for versus a back squat or any other type of squat? Would you say it's easier for the ones who start strength training?
I've seen everything. I've seen people that do it quite correctly, but I've seen people that don't do it. Why is it better? I think because if you bend forward, you'll drop the bar, so it will
Mhm.
allow you to teach to be straighter. Okay,
Right.
so but some people can do it, and this is also why I do it at first. It will teach you to do correctly the squat, but also you will save your wrists
Mm.
for the end of the periodization. You don't want to be doing heavy front squats when
Right.
you're doing judo. Your wrists and your hands are
Mm.
damaged already.
That's
So
right.
you want to save that
Mm.
for the competition. So I
Mm.
would go front squats, like what Charles would call power squat, which is like high bar back squat, and then let's say some low bar back squat, because it will allow me to have heavier weights. It would challenge more the posterior chain, which is very important in judo. So it will be more kind of a specific at that moment.
Right. Right. Right.
So, as you're really strong in judo,
Mm.
if I take this example and I ask the question, what is your favorite length of for a mesocycle? I would imagine an answer in terms of it depends once again. But would you say you would start with the calendar of competition and place those blocks first to see what you can do in the time that you train with that you train that athlete?
Okay, first I'm going to rant a bit here. Uh,
Feel free.
There's no show without ranting on Tony ranting.
okay, so here's the thing. One of the main pet peeves I have when I have athletes here in any sport is like the federation and the, let's say, whatever organization or it's in charge of the sport. They want to win every fucking tournament. Everyone.
Hold on,
And
we forgot to put the beep button.
That's a
yeah,
classic.
yeah. So for me, it's like you cannot win every tournament. I cannot pick him every 3 weeks. I can't do that. I can't pick him every 2 months. It's idiotic because you won't allow me to accumulate as much performance as I need to.
Mhm.
So when I can get through it, like I can get my way. So I would choose. We would, or they would choose. What are the main tournaments in the year?
Mhm.
The other tournaments are I just train through them. I don't care what you get there.
Right.
Like, so and here's one of the things that I always ask: would you rather be Pan American champion or world champion?
Right.
Yeah.
So what's better for you?
Choose your
Like,
battles. Choose your
yeah.
battles.
So one my jiu-jitsu athlete, he would place well in Pan American championships, but he would win world championships.
Yeah.
Right.
So I said, and he would get mad and sometimes go like, "Oh, I want to win the Pan Americans." Don't worry, you're not there yet. You're not. You're tired. You're not at your peak moment. And then 4 months, 3 months later, he wins the world championship. There you go. Now you're peaking. This is where I need you to be. You know.
Exactly.
So because what does it matter if you win the, I don't know, international open in I don't know where? That doesn't mean anything. Like you
Exactly.
can win. Like you can win what happened recently is you can win many tournaments in the world tour, but if you go to the Olympics and you don't make it,
Eh,
doesn't matter. It
When
doesn't
when that
matter.
when that
you
when
gotta
that was
choose where the
initially your
magic
goal.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
when initially that Olympics, that's where you were wanting to go.
yeah.
But
I mean, there's nothing wrong about winning
no.
tournaments at the world, but it shouldn't be your main event.
Yeah, you
It,
don't put all
the-
your energies and your effort at every of them because you're not going to make it. Energy wise, you're not going to make it. So
yeah,
you're
actually,
This brings me to a special question concerning what we know as the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo.
mhm.
How do you bring an athlete that was supposed to peak a year ago back into training and bring him back to the peak that he was supposed to when normally you're 4 years apart?
yeah,
Yeah,
And
and
now we all know that the next Olympic are going to be in 3 years.
3 years,
right,
yes. But that's why
So
you write your periodization on with a pencil, so you can fucking erase it. Because now you have to go and do everything back again. I'm
exactly.
gonna, I'm gonna give you a better question. How do you in judo? The world championships was 3 weeks ago.
Oh my
Right.
God.
Do you pick for the World Championships or do you pick for the Olympics?
Yeah. You.
And
That's a tough.
I think it would depends where you are in your career.
Yes.
yeah, for sure. That,
Because
let's say,
if you want all the belts and the medals, everything, and ultimately it's the Olympics you want, well, you have to lose a few of them to sacrifice so you
Yeah.
can make it to the Olympics.
yeah. But here's the thing, like Japan. Japan has so many good athletes. Like the number three in Japan in any division can win medal anywhere. So
Absolutely.
so what they did, they put the team B for the World Championships. They won gold, and the team A went to the Olympics, and they're already like killing everybody.
Yeah.
But not every country has that advantage of having two or three guys with a high level like that.
Yeah.
So, do you choose to sacrifice the World Championships and pick for the Olympics? I would do that.
Yeah, well,
But
as yourself, as a judo athlete, I mean, in the past 40 years, I myself in the martial arts sports, the same thing. Over 40 years, been competing. I mean, as you get older, you're saying, okay, I'm going to pick and choose because I have that one that I didn't attend to, and then you just let the few go. But I guess it's the same for you. You do exactly the same thing.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Actually, and that's the good thing, and that's what depends on the athlete as well. Because if you have a kid that is new at competing, you let them compete as much as you can, but you train through it. It doesn't matter. You
Absolutely.
don't pick them. You go just compete. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
matter.
more experience. They gather, they gain more experience, and then as they grow, they understand. Okay, I need to put my efforts there. I have to work on this and that, and
Correct.
then this is where I want to go.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Perfect. So that brings me to our next question, and one of the last of our interview today. What are your favorite exercise for athletic performance?
Okay, I have two things. I have what Charles used to call predictive lifts,
Hmm.
which is like what are the lifts that you need to be good at to improve on performance on your sport. But I also found that some exercises are better to injury screening. So if you ask me, and again with the same judo example, for me deadlift would be more about performance or predictive. Squats would be more about injury screening.
Right. Which, by the way,
Okay.
we have a video that we want to show on the
Yes.
squat itself. So perhaps you could explain more. So
Yes.
let us put this as we're speaking, and you could discuss about this lift.
Okay. Yes.
So we have Simon here doing the back squat.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, what I would change, like some people like this, but I don't like. I like my head to be facing forward. I don't like my head facing up. I like my head facing forward. Uh, uh, Due to, let's say, not straining or injuring your neck, because some people will tend to really crank the neck up against the
Hmm.
bar, and I think that's very not so good. Actually, it will kind of make you shoot up a little bit your ass up.
Mhm.
And I think for what I saw, that's the only thing that I would fix. I like the tempo, I like the depth, because I really like all the way down squats. Most of the time, I do full, like, ass to grass squats 95% of the time, 90% of the time. Uh,
But
uh,
for those that don't have a lot of mobility on their ankles or their hips, I mean,
okay.
what would you do different? I mean, we're not going to start talking about the depth of the exercise, but quickly in a nutshell, I know at first when I used to do that exercise, I was very stiff, and my heels used to raise and my pelvis used to tilt. I mean,
Okay.
what can we
So
quickly fix for that?
okay. So here's what I do. I always say that as any exercise is a skill that you have to learn. Okay,
Right.
it's not only about even squat strength qualities you need to learn. You need to learn how to be strong. You need to learn how to be fast or powerful. You need to learn how to be that. You
Right.
you you. Okay, so if I would never run under 10 second 100 meter. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm always going to be slow, but I can be faster than what I am now.
Right.
Okay, and you can be stronger as well.
Right.
So But for in the sake of the exercise, you need to learn how to do it. But there are some things that happen. It's like if you don't have the a good structure to do it, there's no way for you to learn to do it correctly. So if you're, let's say, your heels come up, so you don't have enough mobility. One quick fix is like, okay, so use a heels elevated squat, like some like weightlifting shoe or some
a platform, or even,
a platform,
or even
whatever that will allow you to do that. But try to get your mobility on the ankle correctly.
So would you say that? So would you say that pre-stretching before doing such an exercise is an important thing, or you don't recommend that?
No, I don't recommend that unless you're stiff as a board.
Okay.
And depending on the type of stretch you do. So even like some PNF is good, but not like passive stretching. Right. I don't like that because it will decrease your neural output because
your strength, and it'll affect your strength.
You'll be relaxing. The body will go, oh, okay, it's time to relax. No, fuck, it's time to lift. So let's go. So stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, listen, Tony. Time is passing by. It's such a great pleasure to have you on the show. I mean, we want to learn more about you. So, any thoughts? Any closing thoughts you could give to the audience, and what you could say about that?
Yeah, for sure. Keep learning, keep improving, trying. Not because some likes or followers or anything.
Yeah.
Just try to improve for you to be better. You have to be better today than you were yesterday. Absolutely. So I think that's the main reason. That's the main reason.
Where can people find you or even contact you? We'll put the information at the end of this.
Yes.
We'll put your links at the end of this show. But we know you travel a lot around the world. We hope to have you here someday.
Yeah. When you open up everything, when Canada opens up, I'll be there.
Yeah. So where could people get a hold of you?
No, just go in Instagram mostly and go Tony Parra, TonyParra, and there's not many of us, so I'll be there.
One and unique with this beard, you can't miss him.
Yes, correct.
Tony, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you,
George,
very much for being on the show. We wish you a continuous successful career, as we all know, and we hope to see you very, very soon. So for all of you, thank you for having attended, and we look forward to see you at the next episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Simon.